Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Zero Sum Podcast, our launch set of episodes. I am incredibly happy to have Wade Wales here, who is one of my favorite voices in security, somebody I listen to a lot of your content. I think I've been in at least one podcast with you before,
Yep.
that one of yours that you've done. The thing I love most about what you do is the blend of being a security badass, but also education and talking about it. And I've heard you talk about jobs. I've heard you talk about AI. I've heard you talk about text engineering. So I really love, like, you're sort of a virtuoso in our industry. So I was really excited you agreed to do this. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, no, I'm always glad to be here. Always fun to get on camera and actually talk.
Yeah, great. And you're great at it. So I'm, kind of real privileged from our side since we're just starting out. But this podcast is maybe a little different than a lot of the other ones you do, in that this is less about security and more about security as a job we do, right? An industry we exist in, that I feel like is going through some pretty big changes, some headwinds, some tailwinds, and so I want to talk to you about that and sort of get your take, and maybe we could start there and sort of see where that takes us.
Yeah, dude. Like every day. So, not as wider knowledge, but I actually teach at a college now too, as another side hustle.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I teach a variety, like I'm the filler teacher if they need someone to teach, but, whatever class I can teach it, at least tech wise. But every time I get in one of these classes, cause these are all cybersecurity students, they're all like, hey, like, how do we get a job? What job is the safest from AI? And like, how do I apply and all this stuff? And I'm just like, man, this is like, the field is just so dynamic right now. There's no way I can even give you advice on what to do. And even like a year ago, the advice I was giving people of like starting a blog, right? Like writing what you're doing, learning new things, maybe doing a YouTube video here or there, right? Really trying to prove that you are passionate about the industry. Even most of that can be faked nowadays with a couple AI blog posts and stuff like that. So it's really hard to tell people what to do or even where to go, right?
It's interesting. So it's probably terrifying for young students to hear, we don't know.
Yeah.
And, like, if we don't know, who the hell knows, right?
Yeah.
But in that context of sort of youth coming into security, it is less friendly than it's ever been. I was mentioning to you earlier that I talked to a CISO recently, and he's basically like, I'm out of the business of hiring level ones. Like, I don't have a need for them. We're AIing everything, which is a terrifying answer, I think, for our industry. And like, so I look at that and go, okay, but where do we come from in 15 years? Like, we came up in that environment where there's nothing but opportunity. And so in 15 years, 20 years, when we're done or don't care anymore, where are we going to get talent? Right. So, when you think about it in that context, we do want people in our industry. We do want fresh blood. We do want people coming in. So what are some of the paths you see maybe working with these students, or is anything working, or are they drowning?
Right. And the thing is, it's not just like our entry level, it's other entry level jobs too. So it's just like entry level entirely is super scary right now. Of course, the best thing to do is just network, right? Meet people, go to local events. Like, it sucks for anyone who is an introvert, and I'm telling you that. But the thing is, most of these events, whether they be some type of hacker community or a DEF CON group, right? Most of the time, the people are pretty open arms and welcoming, at least as far as I've seen, depending on which one you go. That is like the one sole piece of advice I think that is stuck with me that I think is very important for people to do. It's also the age-old thing where like cybersecurity people aren't good at talking to people, right? Or like don't technically have like the social personalities. And you have to remember that when going to these events, because you are running to people like that. But if you can stand out and have one of those personalities and show that you're passionate about the actual job, at one point someone will tap you on the shoulder, or there'll be a connection, or you could ask someone for help and it will actually work out. At least that's the way I believe it'll work.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've been doing this for 25 plus years and have a pretty big network, and it's hard for me. Because just because you shake a hand at a conference or just because you have a LinkedIn connection doesn't mean that they're going to vouch for you to hire, or, so differentiating yourself even in that scheme is so hard. And, I think what we're going to find is, there was a generation of people came up in sales and marketing that are now here that were native in social. Like they grew up in it. They don't think about it the way maybe even we think about it. It's like, well, how do I get followers? Like followers is the currency of their lives. Like that's what they think about. And so I look at that and go, these kids are going to grow up native AI. Even if the next 5 years is rough for college graduates, like they are growing up in it and they use it to write their exams and they use it to listen to music and they use it to everything. And so for me, I'm like, eventually the boomers are going to be gone and we're going to need a whole new AI aware workforce. So I think also patience is part of the equation. It's just like stay sharp and your time will come, because we're going to age out. And then a whole group of people are like, how do I manage all these agents? How do I write prompts or whatever it looks like in 10 years? Do you think that's a piece of advice that resonates with you?
I definitely think so. Like the patience part is the hardest, probably the hardest of thing. Cause I've seen people apply for hundreds of jobs, right? And just maybe only get a few calls back, which is brutal. I will tell you this, like I have been fairly lucky. Like I have only cold applied to jobs my entire career and actually landed them. I've never actually used a networking opportunity to get a job, which I find is semi unicornish, especially for me in the positions I've been in. But the thing is, the way that happened is people saw my resume, and I've had several people actually say like, hey, the reason we picked you out is because of all of the community work that you've put in on your resume and that we can actually back up. Right. So I'm right now, I'm one of the main people at B-Side San Diego. The last job I had, the manager actually was like, hey, yeah, your resume is okay, but I saw that you actually run B-Side San Diego, so I figured you were for real. So that's why we're interviewing you. And I'm like, bro, okay. Thank you for telling me my resume sucks. And then he actually had me rewrite my resume for the next interview to give to the next manager and gave me pointers. So I was like, okay. So that's a big part of it too. Like the thing is, the one of the worst parts I tell people about cybersecurity is if you want to be good at it and get a job constantly, you can't leave it at home type of deal. It's one of those jobs you can't leave at home. You have to keep like getting better at your craft, sharpening your sword, which sucks. Like a carpenter can go home and do some woodwork, right? But he's still going to need all those tools. He's going to need space. He's going to need wood. Like an electrician, they all can do that. But I don't feel like there's a lot of other jobs where I could completely do my job at my house with relatively zero cost of just spinning up a home lab or something like that. And there's a grind about it of that constant learning, constantly evolving is scary, right?
Yeah, it is. And it's interesting because like I'll put up in detection engineering and that's what I've spent the last few years doing. Put up a job and get 1,000 applicants, literally 1,000 applicants in the first couple of days. And I kind of go through my checklist, right? Of like, I'll pretty much only look at their social. I don't even think I open resumes anymore. Like it's all AI written. And I'm like, I don't really care. But especially on LinkedIn, the first thing you see is your profile and you click on it and the AI is already pre-scoring them, which I'm not sure that's a great idea in general, but like, I'll try to wade through that and look through all of them, not just the recommended ones. And I can't tell you the amount of people that I go to their profile and there's no picture. They've never commented. They've never followed anything. They have, I have, a lot of connections. So I'll have zero shared connection to them. I'm like, you put almost no effort into this. I don't expect them to be you, right? And be in a million podcasts and do all the things but like do something, like be interested to your point beyond just I have a job and I go home. Either if you do that, you're either a curmudgeon or a genius. And either way, I probably don't want you or can't afford you, right? Like you see people are like, they have 3 jobs. It's like Google or it's like Microsoft, Google, and Anthropic. You're like, you don't need me. Like, I don't like you're fine. But most of us are in the real world where you have to get jobs and not be asked to go to the hottest startup. So yeah, it's interesting to watch the amount of, I guess, pathetic effort that gets put into some of these social profiles. And I'm like, you can't add a profile picture. Like that's too much to ask.
Yeah,
like, it's pretty off-putting.
The bare minimum is when there's no profile picture. Like I get a bunch of people adding me on LinkedIn, right? And half the time, most of the time, I have no clue who they are. And I will actually click on their profile, every single one, go through it, look at them, and try to establish is this a real person or not? And I've definitely found bots that are just adding me, right? And a lot of the time, so like either if I'm teaching or doing a webcast or something like that, I tell people, if you're gonna add me, write a note saying where you saw this and where you saw me, so I can just be like, hey, this person's from this webcast, cool, I'm good. But I've had some like weird people message me and some weird things happen around LinkedIn where that's why like I don't post as much anymore, or even like respond to people as much, which is also scary. But it also goes with that, like, if you want a job, I have to have a social profile and have to have it curated to a point where people are going to mention it, right? And that's not something you're going to do at work. So once again, it's like extracurricular activity. Would a traditional trades job have to do that? Most likely not, right? Unless you're like a photographer or something like that, and you have a portfolio and you have to go around with it. But there's a lot of extra work around it. I do want to go back to what you were saying though about like the knowledge being lost with this new crew coming in. I would say this new generation, which I'm definitely seeing, right? Where people are just handing me some AI slop and I'm like, hey man, you have to at least read this before you send it to me and approve it. And I think that's just the learning curve right now with how we're using AI. I'm feeling it very much as like a cheat code in life almost, right? Like I used to have to do all these steps, type out all this stuff, click all these buttons. Now all I have to do is write a single command and it goes off and does it for me. And like I've gotten to the point where like as it's a cheat code in a video game, I get kind of bored. Like I'm trying to find like more complicated things to do that and I know AI can't solve, so I can try to actually have to think and do them. But I'm finding other people just like, hey, put in the bare minimum with AI. AI got it all done. Here's some slop for you. Trying to teach the new people coming up and how to at least not just use AI, but then be able to use it, verify what it's doing, and then refine it. I think that's a skill that's still new and is like fresh that people are going to have to learn pretty much soon.
It's funny because I'll tell people like, I know you didn't read this, so why am I reading it? Like,
Yeah.
especially in, I do a lot of go to market and branding stuff and working with vendors. And, to your point, beyond the bare minimum, it's like, I know you didn't read this because it's so boring that you would have stopped halfway through. So why would your audience read this, right? Or why would they care? Whatever audience it is, whether it's customers or your boss or anybody, right? Yeah. And, the execs are just as guilty of putting out, bad AI that I know they're not reading either. And so, it just becomes this group of people shouting into megaphones that aren't listening to each other. And so I think the science of audience and attention is super important for security people. And we already struggle with this, right? In security of like, people are sort of, turned off by us a little bit. I think in the business world of like, beyond just we say no, we're sort of like mumblers.
The cost,
like I was
right?
call them mumblers.
Yeah. That we're like we don't make a profit at the end of the day, right? We're the cost to actually do work. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and we're sort of grumpy and a lot of no's, and and so AI. I really do feel like we're missing an opportunity. Like I look at some of these tools that are coming out, and they're all focused on solving security problems, which is great. Like we have a business problem, right? We have not in the lame sense of like justify my existence. That's all I'm talking about. I'm talking about like communication, right? So like AI was fed and created off of massive amounts of corporate bullshit, like just ate the internet and spits out brochureware for a living. That's what they do, right? But they do that because that's the way execs talk, and that's the way real business people talk. Like I see people using AI, I'm like, well, how are you using AI to talk to your boss or explain your coverage in DE or whatever? Oh, no, I'm using it to find bad guys. I'm like, the bad guys aren't hiring you. Your boss is hiring you and paying you. And so like, I do feel like we're missing a step in security with making our communications better and thinking about audience and thinking about convincing people of our perspective. AI is awesome at that. I see almost nobody do that.
I find that's interesting because I felt like that was what I targeted first with my AI usage, right? And that's just because I'm poor at written word. Like spoken word, I'm halfway decent. Written word, I am horrible at grammar and spelling. I don't know why. Like my entire childhood, I went to 6 different schools by 6th grade. That was probably like half the reason. But like the first AI bot I ever made was to write descriptions on my detections for me, so I no longer had to write it.
Mm.
And like from there, I had to I had to create libraries, I had to create some playbooks, I had to give context to the AI to write it. And it used to pump out stuff that I couldn't believe that it was writing that I wouldn't even think about. Nowadays though, like as I move like into different roles, I'm finding that like your communications or like that question, that point that you're making is spot on. I am trying to figure out not just how to show that we've did stuff, but what the impact of it is when we complete these tasks or build a detection. So one of the more recent AIs that I'm playing around with right now is like whenever we open a ticket to do work, right? We're very much doing like a sprint, like Scrum type work nowadays. My detection engineering team is very much more software engineer oriented. And when we're opening these tickets, we have a framework right now, but I'm making the framework more impactful by making AI creates our tickets for us. So they're more verbose. They're written like how exactly like you said, but it also will go look at the risk registry that we have open, understand, okay, what is this detection improving the risk on, or improve, like, how is it going to impact that risk registry, whether it be an epic or a task, and then it writes that out as well. The other thing, like you said, is that the C-suite, they're using these AIs too to read all of our tasks.
Mhm.
So how can we game the system, right? And make sure that our tickets are promptable. So when the AI comes in, it will give back the proper feedback that we want it to. And that's very much how we're trying to at least write our information to report up with it.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day about AppSec, and I was like, anybody who isn't feeding AppSec results back to dev as prompt engineering sucks. Like if you're giving somebody a 50-page PDF, like you've missed the boat. Like that's not what we're doing anymore. Like let's move into this new generation. I think the same thing's true of detection engineering of like, you know, if you think about our customers, you know, the SOC and the CISO, they both need elegant communications. They both need to know why things are happening, but in very different ways, right? Like a CISO knowing to not lay off his DE department because you're solving business problems is different than like a SOC alert firing and the person's like, the hell is this detection? And then having the metadata to explain it. Like, but AI is actually pretty good at both of those things. But I would say neither are being done very well. But like, I would say the upstream one's being done the worst, where it's like, oh, I just, you know, I wrote 50 detections last month. Okay, who cares? Like your CISO doesn't know what that means, and the people write the checks sure as hell don't know what that means. So it's cool to hear that you guys are working on that. In the other side of that coin, right, which is AI in your security world of like finding bad guys and doing stuff. Like, how hyped do you think they are? Are you seeing a lot of value in it? Or are you sort of going like maybe we're a little ahead of ourselves?
I am a full tinfoil hat. Our jobs are going to go away eventually.
Really?
Yeah. But I will say, like, we are definitely on the cutting edge as it comes to using AI. At least I feel like it. I'd say we're in the top 10 percentile of how much. So we have access to all the main models to do whatever we want with. My entire team, I've made them do all the Claude Code training. That they're like, there's free Claude Code training out there, but there's other ones too. I've made them do a lot, and all of us are very versatile in it. We've created pipelines pretty much, and if you listen, a lot of the managed security providers actually do this, but I haven't really heard as many people do it in actual like corporate networks. But we're creating these pipelines where information, knowledge is coming in one side and then into a detection bot. The detection bot goes out there, tests it, passes it off to some type of attacker bot who runs the attack. They then test the detection again. Does it work? They go look at the logs, verifies the logs are there, right? It has our it has our log library and our detection library to make sure that this isn't a duplicate or that we have the proper logs for it. And then at the very end, if it thinks it's okay, it'll push it to a PR and we go and check it, right? So with that though, like we're feeding it as context. We're feeding several different bots, like our infrastructure as code, our logging library that is set up with all of its fields and its priority, as well as our detection library. Like we have several different avenues that are piping into that and then outbound into a detection. So it's not like fully automated. There's eyes on it, right? And the harder part though is like we're catching up to where our policies are. Right? Like we don't want to go too far where we're doing stuff that shouldn't be allowed. So a lot of this stuff is like buckling right at that. I am a full like I gave this talk earlier this year about everything you want to get, all the context you want around your department in order to start utilizing AI as much as you can, and a lot of that being like logging library, detection library, tooling, like a profile on your entire company to understand the tooling, and then like what every team does. If your team has charters, what did that do? So then it can explain a little further. And then providing that to an AI. And through this talk, I do that. Then the second end of the talk is, which I don't have online, I've only given to it in person, is pretty much how I think security, at least as security operations, are going to become more of data shepherds than really anything else. Like how do we get the proper security knowledge to this AI? And then when it pumps something out, we have to approve it. So yeah, that meets the quota or the criteria of all these other things. We believe it pass off. I definitely believe we'll be at that point, and probably, and I don't think soon, but in the future, that's what it'll be. Like, yeah.
So I've never heard that term, and I really like it, data shepherd. So
yeah.
Give me, what do you mean by that? Like, break that out a little bit more for me.
Yeah, right. So at the end of the day, you're like half of detection engineering. I would say more than half. 80% of my detection engineering is getting logs into a SEM and making sure those logs are correct and that they have the right data, right? Whether it be a SEM, an EDR, or anything like that. I then have to know the knowledge of our network in order to build detections around that are customized to us, right? Then whether that be like, hey, we already have this detection in this place. Oh, here's some threat intel coming in. Or there's a new service that's being set up that should only work this way if it moves out of those parameters. Build a detection for that. So all this different knowledge, I build all that up, and then I just provide that as context to the AI, right? Not just the logging, but the context of the entire network and how it works. And then even to the next spot, like if you have a threat intel team, right? They're usually providing us with whether be the latest, greatest TTPs or active profiles on threat actors, all of that stuff, and how to properly manipulate that to the AI to go do everything else. I think is that would be what I'm describing.
Interesting.
It's almost like you need to know threat modeling a little bit more to understand the context around everything, right? And see the bigger picture. And the thing is, like, this isn't easy to do that. Like, you have to build, like, one, having an infrastructure as code, I would say is going to be one of the new pivotal things, whether that be for your whatever data lake, SEM, EDR, that type of stuff. So then that the AI can easily read over that infrastructure as code and see how you actually are configuring things. One thing that's going to help you with a stop gate, like only changes can be done through this infrastructure as code, that it's going to stop a rogue AI from going and making changes within the platform because it has to make changes there. But also it's easily relatable to say, hey, go look at all of our configurations over here and build out a skill that builds those over and over again after we've already humanly built those a couple times. As well as like just all your documentation and playbooks, right? Like, hey, here in this folder in our OneNote is how we're doing these particular things. Read those, write a skill that does those, and then I will write a skill that like verifies that you did it correctly, type of deal. Yeah.
Interesting.
No, I'm pretty sure I stole the knowledge shepherd from someone or heard that say somewhere else, but it's like where I'm seeing things, where it's my my guesstimation of where stuff will be going.
Interesting. Yeah, because one of the things that in doing that on both the code side and then the side of security delivery side is, I don't know if you saw Backrooms, the movie, but I do feel like you sort of end up in, you're giving playbooks to AI that were written by AI, and then that AI give results to another. And it's like, at some point, are we untethered from like, and I was talking to
you have your eye all in the weird spot. Right. Yeah, I did see
it's all wrong.
Stuff. Yeah, and
it's like, I was talking to somebody about something AI, some startup, and he's like, oh, all I need is like a company's inventory, every app they own, every language it's in, blah, blah, blah. And I'll just produce like results. I'm like, we've been trying to do that for 40 years.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
If it was that easy, we'd already do it. Like, I don't have that. And then like every time you think you have your hands around it, the company changes. Right. And so I'm also interested in our kind of nerdy security AI talking to business AI, because that's something we don't have today. Right. Like theoretically, there should be agentics that manage new employee enrollment, right? Like at some point Workday or somebody will have some AI that like does onboarding. Well, if I AI shake hands with that AI and I'm in the flow of like user onboarding, that's a solved problem. I don't know what happens to all the IDM companies at that point, but like, to your point, I think like that becomes an interesting data shepherding or knowledge shepherding problem.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of security people aren't, I know they're not going to other teams and asking about their AI initiatives. Like, hey, HR, what are you bringing in? And then like, obviously we do it to like complain and secure it, but like, I'm interested in how do I shake hands with that? Like, you know where all of our employees are traveling to. That's pretty awesome telemetry for my system to know, Bob's in China and that's okay, or he's not and that's bad.
Yeah.
And like, we know how these things, they exist in AI models, but we're not getting that data.
Right. And
so
then
we are still a little siloed.
Getting access to that, some of that data is still also like taboo, right? Due to policies and procedures or risk and that type of stuff. That's why I found like going through risk registries, usually that reveals stuff that normally I wouldn't know from different teams, because different risks are being reported up. So like the GRC is usually like my bridge to business, because they speak security and business in order for these policies, and they can actually put a dollar value on things. If this fails, this is how much it's going to cost us, type of deal. That's one reason why we're going that avenue. The other thing is like working threat intelligence in the past, right? One of the first things you have to do is establish requirements. Like when you're talking to different customers, you have to understand what type of intelligence they want and how to provide it to them. So you go and you shadow them and you understand their primary job functions. And they may not understand how you can provide them intelligence, but then once you understand their job and their workflows throughout the day, you realize where you can augment them and provide them with better insight into things. I feel like that knowledge has allowed me not to only look at other people's jobs and build intel for them, but to look at their jobs, realize this is a risky part of their job right here. This act, they're doing this over and over again. I can build a detection if they do this incorrectly, and then catch that risk right away. It being somewhat most likely not them doing that, right? Very much like the salesperson going into the dev environment type of deal, or like, right? Like they're never going to go in there. They may go into like a testing ground or anything, but they should never go into production either. So that type of stuff.
To that end, and this is more thesis than it is proved out as far as like the conversation I'm having, but I think we are entering an era of like unbelievable recklessness. Like business is so out of control, right? Like panicked, making terrible security decisions in my perspective, but like they have to, because they're scared of getting fired, and they're going to these big meetings and talk about AI adoption and avoiding layoff. And so like, I feel like we've entered this new sort of YOLO era of security where it's like, yeah, our finance team uploads all of our most confidential financial docs to Claude because we need to use Claude. I don't really know what to say to that. Like, don't do that. That's on the risk register, but like, they don't give a crap. Like they're trying to keep their jobs.
Yeah.
So like, how do you, I mean, I know you deal with both customers in your internal shop, but like, how are you can't say no.
You can't say no,
stop using AI.
Right?
It doesn't work.
It's an arms race, right? Like for you to keep up the arms race, you have to actually keep doing that stuff in order to keep up with your competitors, because they're doing that stuff very much. Either just like the AI arms race that is going on right now, right? Like if we don't use it, our competitors will. So we have to figure out how to use it and how to build this plane as we're flying with it. The best I can do is like create the guardrails and make sure I have the logging around it as we're going, right? We very much keep like time aside in case like a spike comes in, something we need to go and fix. Like that's my mind. Especially in security, you never know what's like around the corner half the time. It never go like no plan works once it meets the enemy. It's something like that, right?
Everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the mouth, right? Like
exactly. Yeah. So you just got to keep rolling with the punches, and I feel security understands that very much. And once, like another thing you said, it's try not to be the no team. Try to be the yes, but team, right? Like, yes, you can do that, but here's how you're going to do it. Like already have those answers to those problems solved by the time you tell them you can do it, but here's you have to turn this logging on, or you have to forward all this type of data to me to understand what's going on. Yeah, I'm kind of just waiting. I've said this at a couple different times. I'm just waiting for the AI living off the land attack, where some company, all one person gets hit and the attacker does everything via prompt, right? Everything, and just completely owns. It's only a matter of time until that happens.
Yeah, but it's not gonna stop anybody, right? Like,
No, I think if we get like it's like the cyber Pearl Harbor methodology, that used to be the thing. Like, when is there a cyber Pearl Harbor? I think the moment there's one of these big living off the AI attacks that someone big gets hit by it, that's when people will start taking it more seriously, right? It's the whole like someone has to die before we really do anything about it.
yeah, let's hope not, because that never came in cyber.
Yeah.
But you know, the thing that I'm sort of the most hopeful about is the upcoming failure of the models, right? Like, they are going to crash out. They're spending too much money. Companies don't want to spend that much money. Tokens cost too much. Like, it's coming.
Yep.
And I think we'll rapidly enter an era of like basically on-prem AI, where every company's competitive differentiator will be their AI. Because everybody using Claude is dumb, because then you have no competitive advantage. If everybody uses the same model, you know, and there was one of the, I think it was Kirkland, the big law firm. It was like, yeah, we love what Harvey's doing, but if everybody uses Harvey, we'll never win a case, because everybody's going to use the same AI. So we have to spend $500 million building our own AI so we can win cases. Like, again, because a lot of legal stuff comes down to perspective and how much case data you have. So like, I do think we'll enter an era where it's like, you know, all the big banks don't use the generalized AI. They have to use their own, right? And you kind of see it in the trading market. Like, the individual AI is making its way into like hedge funds and some of these really aggressive inventors, because they need an edge. They can't just ask OpenAI what the top 10 stocks to buy are. That's dumb. Everybody can do that. So I don't know. Do you see that, like, on-prem AI coming for us?
Yeah, I have several friends who have Sparks, which are just like literally a AI on your desk. It's like a $5,000 mini PC. You run some model on it. Supposedly it's good. The thing is, like, I do see that, and I see us building highly specific AI models, right? That just do one singular job or one subset of jobs, so we don't have this overarching thing. Like, right now, they are very generalized and not super efficient in that one thing. Once we start specializing them, I think it'll become more profitable with it. I know I've heard several people like say like the big models will die eventually and the specialty models will arise. But I agree with you. I've already seen and talked to people with the on-prem stuff going. And I know one thing I've talked about, at least with my team, as like, how do we utilize tokens as much as we can, right? Like, you can have the AI write the Python script to go grab all this data, right? Like, you don't have to spend the tokens for it to touch the API, query the API, go grab it all and bring it back. Have it write a Python script. Then to do that, then every time it just calls the same Python script over and over again. So then you use less tokens. So that's one of the ways we're at least trying to prep for the token.
Is that compute shepherding? Is that for the
right?
data shepherding?
It's
like I'm trying to navigate like how much token I'm spending. Because, you know, if we hit another cycle of build, right? Because right now we're in a buy cycle where it's like I'm buying tokens from Gemini or Claude or whatever, and you get in a build mode. Traditionally, build modes have been good for security, right? So like First Internet, Mobile Wave, Cloud Wave, like, I mean, a lot of the most successful cyber companies have come because of the Cloud Wave, right? And it's like, well, I'm moving off prem, I have new risk, I need to do things, but like every time I see these AI companies start up and they're like, I'm going to build a way to secure Claude, I'm like, you're building the wrong thing. Like, that's going to go, not that Claude's going to go, Claude is amazing, but like frontier models cost a fortune, right? To like do to your point about repetitive tasks, doing a repetitive task in Mythos is stupid. It costs way too much money and way too much water. And like, why are you doing this? Right? Like, bring it into a simpler model. And so whenever that happens, I look at it like an opportunity. Like, we're going to need AI architects. We're going to need plumbers. We're going to need electricians. We're going to, like, when you start building, you need the trade crafts, right? So, but I don't know that people are gaming up for that. Like, I don't think a lot of people are spending their time learning how AI works, like in its core.
I agree. Like, if you know who Jason Haddix is, he's like one of the big
Sure.
AI guys, right? So that's the one of the questions I've asked him a couple times. Like, do you see? Because he talks to more people than I do, especially AI. I asked like, do you see them companies actually adopting it, right? And the adoption is pretty slow, at least for like mid-range companies. That, as far as I consider it, and if Jason considers it, though, I would say same. I'm wondering if people even miss this initial wave, right? And jump straight to this second AI wave, this building wave, like you said. Like
Yeah.
the people who never went to cloud, right? Who just stayed on-prem. And then like the cloud all of a sudden got super expensive. So there was people coming back to on-prem for a second there. Yeah. Like, is that how it is? Or the other example is, I know there's a lot of countries who never got plug-in like telephones, right? Like traditional telephones. They just instantly got cell phones. They jumped
just went straight to mobile.
Straight to mobile, right? Like, will that happen with like AI at this point where people will just go straight to build your own model? Here you go.
Well, there'll be a whole set of providers of this where you go to an app and you go, I am doing, roof repairs, and I need to have localized geography data, post-storm data, click, 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 build me my AI. And it'll ship you a localized app, cloud host or whatever, that'll be built for roofers, right? But it'll be like front-ended because like, I hear all this stuff, like, who gives a shit about code? Like, code is not the end result. I hear all this, oh, we're writing more code than, who cares? Like, lines of code impress me not at all. What impresses me is solutions that work for regular businesses. Like, that's what I love. When I'm like, oh, look I own a clothing store and I can go get an AI that'll help me order the right stuff, like to stay out of the trends or whatever. So that's way more interesting to me than, whatever Claude Code, look at this enormous amount of crap I'm putting out every day. Like, I don't care. Like, it doesn't impress me. And I look at that as a security nightmare, but also just like okay, but who's going to sell this? Like, who's going to sell all these apps? Like, and who's going to buy them? And it's funny because you were talking about your journey in your shop of like building solutions. Like, that's a vendor nightmare. Like, we want to sell that to you. Like, having you build that is also a huge part of this AI revolution of like bringing your own AI prem, but also how many vendors do you need now? If you click five magic buttons in Claude, like, do you need all these vendors? What do you think about that?
I think I have seen several products where I like on the side of my boss is like, I could build this in a couple of days. Like, if you actually give me the days off, like, it won't be that bad. And there's been a couple of times I have, right? Like, I think that is, people are still learning how much they can actually use these to replace a lot of SaaS or a lot of vendors. Like I have two great examples of this. I think once the individual users, the people start, like the normal everyday people realize, I can ask Claude to write me this application that costs $10.99 on the app market and subscription, because everything has subscriptions now, and it will make it for me, customize it completely how I want it, and I won't have to pay a subscription. And I've talked about this every time. For me to learn Claude, I spent my entire paternity leave writing a family organizer app, right? Cool. It connects to all of our Google, connects to all of our calendars. It has grocery lists in it. It has a home inventory, and it has like a meal prep. And the thing is, like, if you want something on the grocery list and you buy it, it goes into the inventory. If the inventory gets low, it goes back into the grocery list. And then the meal plan actually checks it. Do you have the ingredients to make these meals? Here's what you can buy. And then it'll suggest meals to us, right? And the harder part is just getting my wife to use it, of course. But like, I have a monitor. I have like a touchscreen monitor downstairs. Like, I built that out. Like, I built the skeleton work of that within 2 days, right? And I know some smaller businesses who are definitely like, we could create our own POS software, which, don't get me wrong, sounds scary. Like, super
don't do
scary.
That. That's the one. Don't do that. That's a bad idea.
Right. But like, one of my really good friends, he actually runs a brewery. And very much like you said, his distribution and stuff like that is his biggest thing, and ordering of goods that they need. He's written full AI suites to handle all of that. And to make it like, he calls me and tells me about this. And the thing is, he's like a master brewer, but he's doing all this AI work. And he's like, yeah, dude, like this used to be like 5 people's jobs. Now it goes out there, makes all the orders, compares orders to people to do competitive pricing. And I just pressed accept. And it's I think that wave will eventually come, and I don't know how the world is going to handle that once like I'm my parents' age and understand the level of AI. Like, how will my son interact with it? Is the scary thing that's getting to me.
It's so
Hopefully, he
interesting.
gets to interact with it, right? Like,
Well, we've spent the entire history of AI, or the entire history of IT, I'm sorry, adjusting to the collective, right? So like
mhm.
we all adjust to Salesforce. We have to.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
what everybody buys. But even with I have teenagers, everything is individualized, like
mm,
hyper individualized, right? Where it's like, your preferences are yours and obviously they all live in the
mhm.
algorithm as they call it, right? Like everybody's getting custom content, but life isn't really about content, right? Like content's the first, canary in the coal mine. But like to your point, like my home's going to learn who we are. My car's going to learn who I am. Like, and we're in the very beginnings of this. Like, I don't know if you like get in your car and Google Maps, like you're probably going
Yeah,
here, but like
yep,
it's not
yeah,
AI. It's just sort of guessing. You've done this, you've gone to
yeah.
Starbucks 500 days in a row. You're probably going to go again. But like, I think that's fascinating. And to your point about sort of data shepherding, do we become AI context essentially? Like, does your life pattern become AI
Uh,
context? And then how do you protect that and manage that? And like, I think
yeah.
that's an interesting field for sure. Government's
I
not
think
going to do it. We know that. So like, it's going to fall on us as security professionals to manage that. I just don't know what that looks like.
I think that that's going to be like very much like how all of those people are getting Sparks or building on-prem AIs, right? The only way to defend that would be to actually have it in your home network, like have your own personal Jarvis type of situation. This situation, I'm reading a book right now called The Measure, and everyone in the world receives a box with a string in it, and the string tells you how long your life is going to be, right? And
Okay.
you receive this box at 22,
Hmm.
and the different ways the economics are used with it. So like people with short strings, their insurance premiums go up, right?
Mm.
People, and then like and there's another one where like China mandates that you open the box, look at the string, and then tell the government how long your
Okay.
string is. Right?
Okay.
Where like North Korea was like, no one open the strings. You give us the box. Only we know what's the strings.
Okay.
So I very much feel like that's how the data is going to be with this AI is like, how are different organizations, how are you going to protect it and how is it going to be used is still so up in there. Like, I definitely have tinfoil hat friends working in security, right? None of them want to use AI because they don't want data collected on them. They want to keep the privacy. But the thing is, like, the amount of cool, customizable stuff that I get to use if I'm using AI, it isn't like some of it's pretty life changing, and then some of it's just like creature comfort, right? Like that family organizer app, it reads all the locations in my Google Maps and knows where I'm going to go and tells me the traffic
Mhm.
beforehand to how to get there. Or I have an AI right now that's on a script. Every night it runs and it looks who won the World Cup games and then updates all my events in my calendar to tell who's playing and when. Right?
Oh, very
Little
cool.
thing. Yeah, yeah. There's like little things like that I think are really cool to do. It's those bigger things that I'm not like I don't even know about. Like it reading my power bill and telling me like, hey, here's like how you could do that, how you could customize that, or things like I haven't have you seen anything very life changing that you would say around it so far? It's just like it's saving you time, which at the end of the day is life changing. But
I No, I haven't seen
yeah,
anything where I'm
right.
like, wow, this is really crazy. So, like I just went through a process. I have a computer in my spine now to like manage spine
Oh
pain.
wow.
Like I have Bluetooth in my
Yeah.
body. And so like I'm starting to feed that telemetry to like AI and like what are the pain patterns? Like I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, one of my favorite AI things is Spotify DJ. I don't know if you use it. They have like a full on AI DJ now. Super cool. It'll like predict songs I'm gonna like that are actually songs I'm gonna like and not just things that are because they're popular. But it's interesting because we've traded our lives and our data for advertising. Like we've
Mhm.
become the product. And one of my favorite lines about this is like I've lost the greatest minds of my generation to advertising. Like all the smartest people of the last 20 years, not all, but like a lot of the smart
Yeah.
people that ended up at these shops, Meta, Google, whatever. At the end of the day, it's advertising. Like it's
Mhm.
manipulation of data to create better advertising. Like not that interesting to me, not that cool. But like if that same energy goes into outcomes where I'm like, my car is actually smarter instead of just sending me ads, my music is smarter, my grocery buying is smarter. I'm in. I'll trade my data for that. I'm already trading it for crappy advertising. Like I might as well trade it for like good stuff. And having kids and like I want Amazon to know kids that are 3 years old, your kid's 3 years old, they love this stuff. Check it out. You might want to buy this or borrow it or whatever. Like that is an actual use case instead of just like AI advertising slop, which is kind of what I feel like it is now. It's not that interesting.
It still needs heavy customization. So the first time I gave that talk, the doom and gloom detection engineering talk, there was a bunch of AI naysayers in there. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, I have no feeling like you guys totally, I agree with you in certain points. But the thing is like right now, the AI is still, if you're using something, it still needs a high amount of customization, at least I believe, to be positive and to work correctly. So in the example I gave here for this guy who is like, oh, I ask it questions all the time, it gets stuff wrong. I'm like, okay, what are you pointing it to? What content are you giving it? And he's like, nothing. So I'm like, so you're just like blindly asking it, right? That's like going to Google and trusting link number 4. Like it's a dice roll, but so recently I kept having problems with my dishwasher, and so I made an AI agent that is a home utility agent that specializes home utilities. I then grabbed the service manuals for every single appliance I have in the house and dumped it in that agent as RAG so it can connect. And then I'm like, okay, like here's what my dishwasher's doing. Like what am I doing wrong? Like why is it not working? And it's like, okay, go hold the reset button for 5 seconds. These beeps will happen. Then just walk away. It needs to sit there for 10 minutes and reset. That's what you're doing wrong. I go down, I sit on the couch, I watch some TV. Next thing you know, I hear the dishwasher boop, 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 boop. It's ready now. Like that's what I was doing wrong. Right. So like Very cool. Did I have to go that far with the dishwasher stuff? Probably not. But I have it. And like, if something happens with the, with the dryer or the washer or my oven, I can ask it the same stuff. And I think that's where it's going to come down to. Still, once again, it's highly customized, right? And I'm providing it data. So is Anthropic using my data to say, hey, Wade has all these appliances, advertise Samsung dryers to him.
Sure.
But I think it was a good trade-off.
Yeah, but you got my part broke on this thing, just ordered for me, convenience. Yeah. That's not advertising. That's actually doing things. It's like, oh, you need new filters for your furnace, and they just arrive. Like, I feel like this has been promised for like 10, 15 years, and it's never happened. Right. Where like there's a thing like Lowe's can do what you're saying, where you go add all the stuff about your house, but it's just a way to search the Lowe's website for parts. Like it's not recommending any, it's not smart. It's just going like, oh, you have Maytag, whatever. And I don't really care. I think what you're saying is the future. And then I think, it's like anything else. The nerds figure it out, and then it scales to mom and pops, right? Like, you're going to find people who build these amazing home automation AIs that do exactly what you're saying, or build whatever. So to bring it back to security for a second, like, I am scared of 500, 600, 700 companies all building their own security stack. I feel like that's trouble in a bunch of ways. But at the same time, it's hard to go to a company who's tech savvy and be like, here's my app I spent 3 months building, buy it instead of spending 3 months building your own to get essentially your own smart AI house. How do you reconcile that as like somebody who looks at the vendor landscape?
I think you have to depend on your people, right? Like you, hopefully you understand your team and their abilities, because a lot of the times, think about open source security programs right now, right? Like most security tools are based on those open source projects, whether it be Yara or Saracata or any, like you name it, like Wireshark, right? Like all this really cool stuff is based on these initial products. So I think it is possible to build that security stack. But the thing is, you need to see who you have behind it. Who is knowledge checking the AI? And if they're knowledgeable enough about it, that you think they could build it, then the thing is, it's just going to augment them and allow them to build that stuff faster, right? Instead of me taking 2 years to write a network intrusion device, I could probably write it in a couple months now and do the same thing. Will I know exactly how it works? Probably not, to tell you the truth.
It's okay.
But the thing is, I can validate it, and I can tell how to put in self-validation and then put in all these other checks and build special agents to do feature add-ons or updates or check the libraries and stuff like that. It's very much like you have to have the oomph behind the AI in order to get you past the line, right? It's not adding on to someone's team. It's not adding on to your team. It's augmenting your team. If your team is good, they're going to be great. If your team is bad, they're going to be bad, right? Like it's the content, it's trash in, trash out. If you put in bad information into it, you're going to get bad information out. If you have great people putting awesome stuff, asking questions, building out agent skills and great prompts all at the same time, you're going to get great things. Yeah.
So all future security professionals are basically just programmers.
Yeah.
Is that where we're headed?
I absolutely agree. Like, I hate to say it. Like, I hated programming when I started in security. And then like I think my third year, and I'm like, you know what? I'm finally teach myself Python. And I think I taught myself Python like 3 or 4 times. But making it past that hump where I knew how to do this stuff, I think was one of the big gate openers for me, because I'd go somewhere and automate a bunch of things because all the other operational people, they just know how to read logs. But I know how to read logs and then write a Python script to do something with those logs. I very much think we're all going to become developers / data shepherds.
So
You're
horrible.
not even going to be the developer. The AI is going to develop for you. You're just going to make sure it works correctly.
I know, but I do this so I don't have to be a developer. Like I just avoided it for 30 years, and now I have to go do it.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think really understanding automation, really understanding programmatic decisions, like whether AI writes it or not, but like really thinking in process versus thinking in, alerts is going to be huge. Like, and, alerts are going to go away. It's all going to become AI decision tree stuff. Right. So like, I think that's where we're headed. I'm going to steal Data Shepherd. I really like that. That's really great.
Go for it. Yeah.
So I want to be respectful of time. I know we're coming up on our time. But I always love hearing from you. And is there anything that you're working on that people should find you?
I am not doing any, like, this is, I think I did another podcast a while ago. I'm not doing anything right now. And that's because I do have a 4-month-old. So I'm kind of taking a break
what you're
from,
doing.
From everything. I will be at DEF CON and having some fun time there. I'm only going for Thursday to Sunday. I'm not going for Black Hat. So if you see me, say hi. Definitely talk AI if you want.
You're a good LinkedIn follow. You do good stuff. Don't connect with him and pitch slap him, because he's not going to buy
Make sure
your
you
AI
say where you saw me, and I'll definitely add you. If you don't, I have to verify and then probably not add you.
It's so funny because that was a thing for, like, on LinkedIn where you would write a note, and then it became abused by SDRs and people using it for sale. And so now it's sort of almost cooler to send a non-noted invite because you aren't using AI to spam everybody. So it's funny to watch these trends happen. It's like you just wait long enough, it comes back to the way you do it. But obviously people can find you on LinkedIn and Twitter and all the normal paths. But thank you so much for being here. Congrats on the new little one. It's good to see good invested dads building AI around their children's lives. That's fantastic. But thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you for inviting me.
All right, bud. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye.